Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Convention with the Comic Book Roundup. We've covered this week's Marvel books, and now it's going to wrap things up with this week's DC books. Kicking things off, we've got Batman number 133. Where we left off, Batman was stuck on another Earth, an Earth without a Batman, after taking on Failsafe. And while this Earth does not have a Batman, there are still quite a few familiar faces to Bruce. So you open, Riddler is asking riddles of children, and Batman comes upon him and seems to and puts him in traction. Selina, meanwhile, is speaking with Red Mask about her run-in with Batman, and has also learned of what happened to Riddler, and passes that along to Red Mask as well. That said, she is not happy with the fact that he is testing his riddles out on children, and well, Red Mask doesn't seem to care, and makes his displeasure with her disagreement with him quite known. Elsewhere, Batman finds the grave of Bruce Wayne and digs it up, but he's stopped by Alfred Pennyworth, who is more than a little angered at someone digging up the grave of Bruce Wayne. But Batman takes off his mask and explains that he is Bruce Wayne from another universe. Adding that the Alfred Pennyworth of his universe was a kind man who stood up to evil, and, well, Bruce is there to do just that. But he needs to run some tests on he needs to find out what it was that killed that Earth's Bruce Wayne. Having broken into a hospital with the help of Jewel, apparently, first off, he learns what this Earth's Bruce Wayne, the story of this Earth's Bruce Wayne, gave up the entire fortune, put it all into places like the Wayne Mission, food, shelter, medical, became a social worker. Basically, kind of went with the trope of that long-standing trope of, oh yeah, Batman can do so much more for Gotham with his money than, by dressing like a bat and beating people up. But analyzing the corpse, Batman learns that Earth's Bruce Wayne was poisoned, lung damage indicating gas. He's adjusted the machine to scan for other things that are traces of multiversal energy. But Judge Harvey shows up and sends his people in. Though, before he can send them in, Batman jumps out, and Batman and Harvey have a rematch. Harvey takes one hell of a beating. It's a form of interrogation. But Selena shows up, explaining that Harvey doesn't know anything. He just takes orders. She informs him that Arkham is actually run by Red Mask, and she can show Batman the way to him. And Batman asks the important question, who's the Red Mask? Selena doesn't know and honestly doesn't care. But he runs Arkham, runs the city, and needs to be stopped. But Batman asks what Selena's angle is, and she simply just says that Red Mask's experiments offend her, and that if Red Mask were to disappear, she wouldn't shed a tear. So she takes him along and explains that Arkham Asylum has been closed for years. Red Mask replaced Arkham. What a lot of people don't know is there's a whole world under the city, where the discarded go where the insane are relegated to. That's where Red Mask's infected are, in the Arkham Caves, which are rather interestingly set up, perhaps in a familiar manner. Not exactly like the cave, but similar. Now, our backup story: Tim Drake is dead set on he can't he doesn't he knows that Bruce is dead, and has worked with Mr. Terrific to find a means of potentially finding him by traveling throughout the multiverse. He's found a world with where Toyman is, and where some victims of Toymans are. So Tim does what he can to save them, save as many of them as possible, as well as to get Toyman to back to Earth Zero. But he also has to deal with a robot Toyman, who Toyman himself refers to as Fleshman. But Tim gets back to Zero with Toyman's victims and Toyman himself. And that is where the issue ends. Both stories are continuing to be solid. It'll be interesting to see who Red Mask turns out to be. I'm leaning towards possibly another Bruce Wayne, but we'll find out. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Poison Ivy, number 10. Where we left off, Harley had come to visit for a day or two, and afterwards, Ivy decided that she was going to move on. She's actually decided she's heading back to Gotham. Informs Janet of this so she can be with. It's basically so Harley can be with so Ivy can be with Harley. But apparently Janet has a thing she has to go to. Gwendolyn Caltrope's retreat, which is usually insanely priced. But the price has been slashed for this one time, and well, Janet says enough about it that piques Ivy's interest. So they head down to California. Janet is absolutely taken in. Gwendolyn Caltrop is apparently peddling wellness materials such as glow. Clearly a stab at Gwyneth Paltrow's Gloop. But Ivy immediately sees it for a fraud. There are things that Gwendolyn said that Janet that basically make Janet think that this would actually be the kind of thing Ivy would like. But Ivy looks around and briefly sees what looks to be Jason Woodrue's hand on a door. Bursting in, well, there's no one there, and it seems she's seeing things. But she's offered an adaptogenic green juice. After finding what's in it, well, Ivy and Janet both drink it, and they both also start to hallucinate. And Janet basically throws herself at Ivy, explaining she kind of wanted it since seeing her in the wreckage of the chemical plant, deciding whether Janet should live or die. And the spread kind of implies that basically a massive orgy happens, but Janet and Ivy have their fun, and then Gwendolyn shows up and explains that mushrooms were involved in the making of the green juice, and hence the hallucinations. Though she pulls something off of her arm, which Ivy realizes is modified Lamia spores. In fact, everyone has it. But it seems that the Lamia spores mixed with the mushrooms they utilized, but it would seem that the more detrimental effects of the Lamia spores have been neutralized. So, in part by the mushrooms, and in part by Ivy. Notice that now using Lamia spores are growing wild. And that is where the issue ends. This book continues to be strong. I'm honestly loving it. It will be interesting to see. I kind of get the feeling the book might the book may end up taking its time on getting Ivy back to Gotham. Just kind of let her have her own adventures, or misadventures, capers, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, number 6. Where we left off, Red Hood was convinced he had killed the other Joker, though he had actually just shot Clayface, masquerading as the other Joker. Meanwhile, the Joker decided he was going back to Gotham because, well, Clayface couldn't get the job done right on killing the other Joker. And hey, the old saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. So we begin in Toluca Lake, California. Stand-up comic is doing his routine. Joker is actually quite amused, and but he's sitting in such a manner where the comedian can't see who he is, and well, suffice to say that he's a bit terrified when he sees it's Joker that's basically laughing at everything he says. But Joker's, invites the guy to roast him, and so the guy gets a good roasting and talk about Gotham. But then, well, yeah, he starts bringing up Batman, and well, yeah, that's a bit of a sore spot. And well, turns out the glass that Joker's been nursing is both acid, and he flings it in the comic's face. Anyway, at Griffith Park, they let loose some Joker and his henchmen let loose some cats, and there's something he wants to show his henchmen. Basically, blowing up handful of police stations, and but he basically feels that L.A. didn't appreciate him. He took over the criminal underworld with little to no effort. No capes, no cops, nothing. But well, it turns out that since he has a plane to catch, but it's a private plane, so it'll wait. Except that, well, turns out it's made at LAX. Meanwhile, back in Gotham, Red Hood is released because, well, Joker made it clear that he's the one that blew up the police stations in LA. There are riots going on in the town now, and Joker's trying to make it to LAX. But, yeah. Things do not go as planned. Under Gotham, it turns out that the other Joker is being cared for by none other than Solomon Grundy. Joker's trying to find a cab that'll take him to the airport, and runs into Batman. Well, not Batman, but rather a celebrity impersonator dressed as Batman. They do basically, hey, you want to do this? You're my turf. You want to work here? You gotta work with me. They do some pictures, and then, well, Joker shoots the Batman impersonator and takes the cash he's got. But before he can go any further, he's stopped by Manhunter, Kate Spencer. And that is where the issue ends, or that's where our A story ends. As per the rest of this book, we've got a backup story. This one focusing on a man named Ralph. Ralph has pasty white skin, green hair, ruby red lips. One day he comes home and finds Jackknife and Gaggy in his home with his wife and kid. Ralph stabs and kills Gaggy, and Jackknife explains that this is all about Ralph's twin brother, Edward, the Joker. Well, turns out Edward died. Tried to ride Man-Bat like a horse. Man-Bat thought it was undignified. So, be there for the funeral and also the reading of the will. Then leaving it just a list of capers and plans he'd set up that wanting to make sure they went off. So Ralph does all this for his dearly departed brother, and becomes the Joker. Been going so far as to call himself so. Insist that Jackknives call him Joker. And that is where the issue ends. Fun little backup story. I do kind of enjoy. I have been enjoying those. They're often fairly asinine, but amusing. The A story is continuing to get interesting. I'm liking the idea of Joker having left Gotham to try and be more, I guess. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman and the Joker, The Deadly Duo, number 5. And this had two covers, well, that I picked up, I should say. Two connecting covers by by Will Sportacio, who it's always fun it's always fun to see. So where we left off, Batman had managed to get into the computer information for Simtech, and it seemed as though Donald Sim was behind the kidnapping of Gordon and whatnot. Elsewhere in Gotham, the SWAT team leader is Harvey Bullock's visiting the SWAT team leader and saying, "Hey, look, maybe leave town. Basically kind of a protective. Insisting he kind of do something to, you know, to avoid getting attacked." But after Bullock leaves, yeah, he's attacked at home and seemingly taken. So first we get a Batman's at the remains of the church where the Sim wedding had was supposed to take place, and what happened is explained. Armored car robbery. Joker and Harley knocked over stolen armored car. Ended up driving it into the church where the wedding was going on, and he also wired the place to blow. As the SWAT team entered, they all activated tripwires, which pulled pins off of grenades, and well, big explosion. Batman saved Sim and his daughter, seemingly, but when they were finally able to stop, it seemed that his daughter had died. But Batman follows one of the Joker creatures, putting a tracker on it. Back at Wayne Manor, Batgirl wants to have a chat with Joker about where her father is, letting out some frustrations. But Batman stops her. And they talk. Batman explains his reasoning. And the Bat family further discuss things. Then we catch up with Gordon, who is still alive. No mutilations. The body parts have been sent to the GCPD. Have been or parts that belong to other prisoners. Batman and the Joker go into the tunnels underneath the church. And apparently the wedding is being recreated. And now all the players are present, including Bennett and Gordon. But it turns out and Harley, who is of course overjoyed to see her pudding. But Sim explains that he's not the one behind it all. It is, in fact, his daughter, who's been brought back via the regenerative tech that Sim was working on. And Gordon is brought out, and that is where the issue ends. This series is definitely taking some interesting turns. I think we're at the next to last issue, so see how it plays out in a month. Moving on to our last book for the week, we've got Black Adam number 8. Where we left off, Malik was afflicted with the same, I want to say degenerative disorder, afflicted with whatever was that Adam was dealing with in the early issues, but he also had a hallucination of or vision of Adam as a more heroic figure. We begin with Malik's sister and his friend Jasmine walking, trying to find Malik's ring. The man asks them if they misplaced a ring, and he identifies himself as War. That Jasmine and Kenesha look behind them and see the another large wave of devastation in their wake. In Kahndaq, a passenger plane nearly crashes, but Adam prevents it from doing so, getting it airborne. In his Theo Adam persona, Black Adam meets with Shep, who informs him that the optics is not great with the fact that there was the fighter jet he let crash, and now he saved a passenger jet. So, but Adams tells a tale of his past to Malik while Malik's unconscious. Vizier had he was seemingly subservient to a vizier, and at the time it's explained there were portals all over the world into the Rock of Eternity. Among, of course, in the rock are the imprisoned seven deadly sins, and he who sleeps, the last of the Council of Seven. But as much as Adam wished to kill he who sleeps, he couldn't because, well, then his power was linked to the wizard. But the vizier sends insists that Adam go after a specific target or a caravan and wipe it out. Men, women, children, all of them. Well, Adam's had enough and calls down the lightning, taking out the vizier, and then taking the vizier's throne. At the time he was the king he was, or the pharaoh he was, it was a pharaoh that was largely just nothing, no huge events about him, so not exactly one that had volumes written upon his reign. In the present, war is causing chaos when Anu, the king of the gods, and Ishtar arrive, wanting to know just what it is that war is up to. Namely, he wants, but there are protests happening, or anti-Black Adam protests occurring in the streets of Kahndaq, complete with effigies that are like to soon be burned, and that is where the issue ends. Interesting, especially so that Adam ruled Egypt briefly in a manner that wasn't really meant. It is barely a footnote in the history books. Anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.